You hit 40 and the rules of the game change. The heavy bench press that built your chest in your 20s is now the reason your rotator cuffs keep you awake at night. But you also know that if you stop lifting, you lose muscles, and at our age, muscle is the organ of longevity. So here is the medical dilemma. Do you stick with heavy iron to fight muscle loss, risking your joints, or do you switch to calisthenics, risking that it won't be enough to keep your testosterone high and your physique strong? Today, we are looking at the physiology of the over 40 body. We are comparing heavy resistance training against body weight mastery to see which one actually protects your joint, preserves your hormone, and keeps you out of the hospital. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're over 40, you are fighting a biological process called sarcopenia, which is the involuntary loss of skeletal muscle mass. To fight this, you need resistance, but not all resistance is created equal. In the medical community, we often see two types of injuries in men over 40. The first is acute trauma, usually from trying to move a heavy external load with a form that was acceptable at 25 but dangerous at 45. The second is overuse injuries, wearing down the cartilage through repetitive unnatural motion. Today we are breaking this debate down into three clinical categories: joint health and longevity, muscle preservation and hypertrophy, the hormonal response, specifically testosterone and cortisol. By the end of this video, I'm going to give you a specific prescription on how to blend these styles for the next decade of your life. Let's start with the most critical factor for the over 40 athletes: joint health. When you put a heavy barbell on your back for squat or over the chest for bench press, you are subjecting your skeleton to what we call axial loading and high compressive forces. Now, compression isn't inherently bad. It stimulates bone density. However, as we age, our intervertebral disc lose hydration and our connective tissue lose elasticity. Here is where calisthenics has a distinct medical advantage. Most bodyweight movements are close kinetic change exercises. This means your hands or feet are fixed to an object, such as the floor or a pull-up bar, and your body moves through space. Why does this matter? In close kinetic chain, your body naturally recruits stabilizing muscles to protect the joint. In a push-up, your shoulder blades move freely as they are designed to. In a heavy bench press, your shoulder blades are pinned against the bench, forcing the glomerular joint to take loads it might not be ready for. And research supports this. For men over 40 with existing degeneration, maybe you have a bit of arthritis in the knees or a stiff lower back. Calisthenics produces significantly lower shear forces on the joint. You can get a massive pump in your quads with a Bulgarian split squat or deep lunge using just your body weight without putting 300 pounds of pressure on your lumbar spine. However, heavy weights have one advantage here: precision. If you have a weak lower back, I can have you deadlift a kettlebell that weighs exactly 20 pounds. With calisthenics, you are lifting a percentage of your body weight, and if you are overweight, a pull-up might place too much stress on your elbows. And the verdict here on your joint is that if you have a history of joint pain, calisthenics wins on safety, but weights win on adjustability. Now let's talk about muscle preservation. Now let's talk about building muscle. There is a myth that you can get big or strong with calisthenics. Science disagrees with the caveat. Recent studies comparing exercises like push-ups against the bench press found that both resulted in similar muscle thickness and strength gains. But here is the key phrase you need to remember: volitional failure. To trigger muscle mass, you need to recruit type 2 muscle fibers. You can do this by lifting a heavy weight for 5 reps or lifting your body weight for 25 reps until you literally cannot do another one. The muscle doesn't know if you are holding a barbell or pushing the floor. It only knows one thing: tension. But here is the problem for the over 40 man: progressive overload. With weights, if you want to get stronger, you add 5 pounds to the bar. It's simple, measurable, and linear. This is crucial for fighting sarcopenia because we need to constantly challenge the muscle. With calisthenics, progressive overload is harder. Once you can do 20 push ups, doing 50 is mostly training endurance, not building muscle. To keep building muscle, you need to learn complex skills like one arm push up or plunges, or you have to wear weighted vest. The verdict on muscle is simple. Heavyweight are more efficient for ensuring you are progressively overloading your muscles. Calisthenics works, but you have to work much harder mentally to make the exercises difficult enough to stimulate growth. Now let's move to the last part, which is actually the hormonal reality. This brings us to the invisible factor, your hormones. We know that heavy compound lift, squats, deadlift elicit an acute spike in testosterone and growth hormone. And for years, this was the argument for lifting heavy. But for the men over 40, we have to look at the other side of the coin, which is cortisol. And cortisol is the stress hormone. When you are 20, you can handle a stressful job, a lack of sleep, or brutal heavy lifting session. But the moment you turn 40, your recovery capacity diminishes. Heavy spinal loading, like a mass effort deadlift, taxes your central nervous system or their CNF heavily. If you are already stressed, adding massive CNF fatigue can chronically elevate cortisol, and high cortisol inhibits testosterone production and increases visceral fat. You know, that belly fat that we all hate. Research suggests that moral load resistance, which is exactly what calisthenics usually is, supports the maintenance of lean mass and testosterone without the massive spike in systemic inflammation and cortisol that comes from heavy powerlifting. Unless you have your sleep and your nutrition dialed in perfectly, grinding out heavy singles and double is working against your hormonal balance by overstressing your system. So what is the verdict? Do you drop the weight or do you drop calisthenics? As a doctor focusing on longevity, here is my prescription. You should not be a purist. You need a hybrid approach. First, use weight for the lower body. Your legs and hips need absolute strength to maintain bone density. Squats and deadlift or strap bar deadlift are key here. Keep the rep to moderate 8 to 12 to protect your joint. You can even go lower if that is too much for you. 2. Use calisthenics for your upper body. Use your shoulders and elbows. Pull-ups, dips, and push-ups allow your joints to move naturally. They build incredible upper body muscle without the compression. 3. Focus on recovery. If you feel shattered after a workout, you went too hard. At 40, consistency beats intensity. The best workout is the workout you can do pain-free for the next 20 years. If you found this breakdown helpful, I have a full video on how you can actually train by taking creatine if you're a man already on your 40s. Click that and I will see you there. I'm Dr. Gundi. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.